So hi again, and welcome to your yoga practice. Today we'll be doing active yoga therapy practices for the lower back, especially. We'll start with an initial relaxation. And today, if you have a chair available, feel free to try this variation of a supine resting position. You might want to bring your chair onto the mat or close to the mat. What you're looking for here is support for the lower legs with an easy bend in the knees and a natural extension of the spine. So your whole back body is resting on the floor, but by giving this extra support to the lower legs, you're going to feel a deeper, an easier release, especially in the lower back. And if you don't have a chair, that's quite all right. You could also just bend your knees and bring your feet out wide. Rest your knees on one another. The knees kind of forming a little bit of a tent, a small pyramid here. This will also encourage the lower back to release tension. It will broaden the space of the lower back, and you may find that you are able to send your awareness and just feel what's going on in your body today. And give yourself a moment to just arrive in whatever resting position feels best for you. And see if you can use your exhales to encourage the whole body to settle a little bit easier into the support of the floor. As you inhale, see if you notice the parts of your body that are being supported by the earth or your prop. And as you exhale, see if you can let the whole body rest down a little bit heavier towards the ground. This initial awareness exercise. This gives you a chance to feel and observe. And at the same time, you use your breath, use your exhales to let go of anything you don't need to be fully present in this moment, in this breath. I'm going to invite you to try several active exercises today. Before we do that, I really want you to connect with what you're feeling. And please listen to your body at all times. So if something that I offer you doesn't feel right, especially if you feel any pain, please do not do that. You could always modify. We'll try several variations. You could also completely leave anything out, take a break, or stay a little bit longer and do a little bit more of something that feels extra good for you. Just going to take 3 more smooth, unrushed breaths here. Doing your best to always breathe in through the nose, whenever possible. And breathing out through the nose, or if it feels better, you could also breathe out the mouth. This is one of the body's favorite ways to release tension. The body likes to make sound. And breathing out the mouth encourages you to release a little bit more completely. You'll also cool down a little bit, feeling hot. Be a nice little. Take it down a bit. Wonderful. So if you're using a chair, you're going to want to bring your legs slowly off of the chair and set the chair off to the side, somewhere where you might want it later for a little bit of balance support in standing. And then come to rest fully on your back with your legs extended one at a time, and you want to feel nice contact with the back of your foot and the floor. We're going to move the whole body through the force, through the power of the foot and the ankle here. And so this is called pulsing the foot. You want to feel like your feet are very strong. We're going to get moving pretty fast. So you are flexing and pointing your feet. And this flexion and pointing is going to start moving the legs, and especially the hips and the pelvis. And as you settle into it, you're going to find your whole body is really moving. It's kind of shaking or almost vibrating with this powerful pulsing through the ankles and the contact of your heels on the floor. Take 2 more breaths like this, so feel free to really pulse as much as feels good. And then slow it down. And with your next exhale, go ahead and let that go. Just take a moment again to feel. A lot of times when we are holding tension, really effective way to release that is a little bit of shaking, a little bit of almost random movement. It encourages the nervous system to release, to reset, to return your awareness again to this moment. Again, take a moment to notice how you're feeling, resting on the floor. You might notice some tingling. You might notice already some changes from whatever you were able to notice before. And we'll start with knees bent at about hip distance apart here. And so hip distance is where the feet are parallel and in alignment with your knees. Knees are also parallel, about hip distance apart. We'll start with an inhale, bringing one leg into the body. And exhale, squeeze as you lengthen your lower back. And release. Then inhale the second leg in and squeeze it on an exhale as you draw your navel, so your belly pulls down towards the ground, towards the back body and your spine. Do that a couple more times. Really using your exhales to squeeze as you engage your center, engaging the core of the body. These are the abdominal muscles superficially, but also they extend fairly wide and deep. So you have these transverse abdominal muscles. Those are kind of the ones where if you imagine you're putting on a tight pair of pants, and you imagine that squeezing feeling, see if you can engage that squeeze on your own. We also have the psoas around the areas of the hips, deep hip flexors, really important. We're going to get a lot of work there today. And your abdominals extend all the way up into about the 5th rib in the upper chest area. So see if you can pay attention to this part of the body. And now we're coming back to the first leg. We're going to add the head here. So on an inhale, as you keep your belly engaged, the navel pulling into the body, lifting your head up, keeping your shoulders relaxed, and then exhale, release. Release the leg, and then inhale, second side. We're going to be holding it for 2 or 3 breaths. Make sure you engage your core first and keep your lower back long. Nice extension through the tailbone. And on an inhale, come up, forehead towards your knee. And we're going to breathe there. 1 more breath. Exhale and release. We're going to take a spinal twist here, and since it's the first twist and the body might not be so warm yet, it's really important to take things mindfully, as much awareness as you can bring into the body, and you might want to try a variation. So classically, this one-legged crocodile twist begins by bending one leg, extending the other. So I have my right knee up. Now I'm going to hold that with the opposite hand, with the left. And on an exhale, bring that first leg over the body while keeping your other leg extended on the floor. For some reason that didn't feel as good. You could also bend that bottom knee, and then you're just going to have both knees roll over to one side. I'm going to be here for about 5 breaths. The third option today, and this one will change how far you can go, is to stack your knees, crossing your legs, and then you bring that top knee over to the opposite side. You could bring the opposite hand to the outside of the leg. See if you can keep the upper body relaxed, especially your shoulders resting towards the floor. You could keep looking up in the center, or maybe rotate your head in the opposite direction. We want to work with the body here, never forcing it to move or causing any strain, and certainly not any pain. Feel free to play around with it. Try things out, and then we see if you can connect with that which feels good today. Stay for one more breath. To come out at the end of an exhale, you engage your core again, so the belly pulls in, and on an inhale, come on up. And exhale in a neutral position, perhaps feet on the floor, and just pause and observe. Try again that classic crocodile twist here. Extend your other leg and reach the opposite hand to the front of the knee. Inhale, lengthening and reaching that extended leg down to the ground and away from your head. As you exhale, bringing your bent leg over the body. Could also try bending that supporting leg for a classic 2-knee twist. And you also have that option of trying the cross-legged version. Again, this will just change about how far you can move as the legs hold each other. A couple more easy breaths here. In through the nose. And again, seeing if you can use those exhales to let go of unnecessary holding, any remaining tension in your lower back. Come up on an inhale, engaging the core, and then resting knees again on the floor, feet on the floor, knees right above your heel of the foot, or maybe the ankle, but at the closest to the body, they're over you can reach for the back of your heel now. Feet hips distance apart, knees parallel. We're going to do a couple bridge poses here on the floor and several variations. What we want to do here is strengthen the back of the leg and of course the glutes. We're also going to try to keep that core awareness. It's called core bracing in physical therapy. And so that's where we pull the belly in, keep the pubic bone pulling up towards your center, but keep those ribs from flaring out. You don't want your arch in the back. You want a long, extended spine. So for bridge pose, you can keep your arms here on the floor or bend them in robot arms. And this pose is actually really good for your knees. I do it regularly and it's helped me no longer have knee pain. But if your alignment is not working for your knees, if it's not in alignment with your body, it can cause strain, especially through the ligaments that support the knees. And so what we want to do is notice the distance between the knees. You want anywhere between 2 and 1 fist. And the action of your knees is going to be, and the action of your legs coming inwards, a little bit of squeezing there, but not movement. So here's, if you had a block, this would be a good time. You could try putting a block in between your knees, and that'll really encourage you to squeeze the legs towards your center line. As you inhale, begin to push your heels down, feet down, and the backs of your upper arms, your shoulders down, coming up, taking a breath. Now, in any weight-bearing pose where our head is on the floor, you never want to move the head. Don't turn your head or neck. Instead, just looking towards your chest as you reach your knees away from your body. And then exhale, we're going to lower down, rolling through the upper back, lowering the middle back, and the lower back is the last part. Great. So we can also get that same engagement without the block, but it's just a nice prop. If that already felt like a lot, another option here is to come up. I like to grab my sitting bones and extend the lower back, reach your sitting bones out wide, and you could rest your back here on some kind of support, even a bolster or a very thick kind of cushion. And this is a nice passive version of the bridge. When we're not doing so much through the legs, we are getting that nice extension through the back and releasing tension by letting the weight of the body rest down. Feel free to try that alternative if you prefer. We want to see if we can fire up the leg muscles a little more. So we're going to do 2 more bridges, and this time inhale and come on up. We're going to try coming down a different way this time for comparison. Reach your knees away from your forehead as you inhale, core pulling in. So we have that core bracing. And this time as you exhale, we're going to try to lower the tailbone first. Your tail reaches towards your heels, and then you unroll the spine. I often have to kind of like slinky my way up to make more room for the back. And then release. And so the third time, last time we're doing a couple of bridges, you might want to stay with any of those variations from before. But if you're feeling like you want a little bit more work for your legs, especially the back of the legs, so we can get into the hips, you could try these one-legged bridge variations. And so for that, you're going to bring one leg up into a tabletop position, just like we started if you used a chair. Relaxing that foot. You're going to really reach down through the heel of your standing leg as you lift your hips, coming onto the back of your upper arms, your shoulders, even the back of the head reaching down. But your neck should feel nice and long. And then exhale, we're going to roll down from the upper back to the middle back. And releasing. We'll do that again on the same side. Inhale. Coming on up. And just for comparison, we're going to try coming down on an inhale. So breathe out here on an exhale and inhale, roll down in the way that feels better for your back. So it's mostly for me the upper back, middle back, then the lower back, and release. You should be feeling a lot of activation in the back side of your legs, the big muscles in the back of the leg. That's what we want. If you start to feel cramps, you could massage the leg, take a break, stretch it out, come back when you're ready. Second side, or just repeating both legs together another time. Inhale, push the heel down as you lift your hips up. Embrace and brace your core. So pull that navel in. You want your tailbone reaching towards your knees, even as you reach your knees away from your head. Try on this time, maybe coming down with the inhale first. Pausing, maybe coming up with the exhale. That's probably going to feel different. And that's part of the goal here, is to deepen, enrichen your awareness of feeling by trying things a little bit differently than your usual patterns, usual routines. Pause and feel that. Great. I'm going to give another squeeze here, a little bit more core support. A nice extension through the back. So start by bending the knees. And on an exhale, hugging them into the body. Pull the belly in. Inhale, lift your forehead up towards your knees. And exhale, release. Now we'll cross the legs. I'm just going to get a little bit of a stretch in the outer hips before we start mobilizing some more. You can grab, when you cross your legs, you can grab your shins or just below the knees. If you have the range, you might be able to reach the ankles. Again, squeezing your legs squeezing your feet towards your hips without any force. Definitely not hurting anything here. Okay. Try the other side as you're ready. Opposite knee on top, and notice if this side is very different. That can often be the case that one hip is much tighter than the other. This often results from prolonged periods. So when we repeatedly sit in a certain way that's not really balanced or even standing, we tend to prefer one leg over the other. These unconscious habits of how we hold our body can really build up a lot of tension and even shorten the muscle and the connective tissue on one side more than the other. So take your time. See if you can breathe into the sensation. And again, use your exhales to let go of everything you don't need. Hug the body one more time. Belly in, inhale, lifting the forehead up towards the knees. And exhale, releasing the whole back. Nice. I'm going to roll over onto your side and come up into hands and knees for cat and cow pose. This is probably I had to do one exercise for the back every day. This is almost always that one, or that first exercise anyway. So for cat and cow, on an inhale, you're arching your back, keeping your shoulders resting in the back as you look up, lifting the tail up. And as you exhale, you reach the tail down towards your knees, pulling the belly in as you relax the head. Let it be heavy between your arms. Inhale. You're letting your sitting bones open towards the back and out wide behind you. And then as you exhale, dropping the chin towards the chest, pull that belly in and up, get really round. This one's very stable, so you might enjoy closing your eyes here, confident in your balance. And with the eyes closed, this encourages that inner gaze, that inner awareness, explore a little bit what's going on inside. How does this movement change the shape for your breathing room? And how does your breath complement and enhance your movement? Great. I'm going to do another gentle twist here. It's going to start mirror view, but you can start with your left hand down and inhale, open that right arm up. And on an exhale, I'm just going to bring the back of the hand under the body and slide it across the floor, pulling again the core inward. Coming out a little bit on an inhale. And exhale, sliding the hand under the body. Get some nice extension. My supporting arm is right underneath the shoulder, and on an exhale, I might come a little bit deeper, or I might bring the shoulder all the way to the floor. You do want to have a nice extension again in that lower back, tailbones reaching up and back, and your legs parallel, following your hips parallel right above your knees. It's hard to see in this pose, but the tendency is to shift your hips in the direction of your twist. So see if you can bring them A little bit more neutral, right above your knees. Energetically engaging a bit. And then remember your breath. So just come back to long inhales, always in through the nose. And soft, easy exhales, maybe releasing a little bit more. Come out on an inhale, squeezing the belly in and lifting up, open up. And exhale, second side. When you're ready, in and up. And then exhale, the back of the hand sliding on the floor. This is a really nice, gentle way to get into this twist. Already been twisting a little bit, but always good to take care of your experience. And of course, today we're really trying to take care of the back. After a couple dynamic slides, you might be able to bring the shoulder all the way to, or at least towards the floor, in the direction of the floor, side of the head on the floor. But notice if this side is very different, and notice if your hips have slid in one direction, or if your hips are parallel right over your knees. This means your legs usually will be also parallel, feet resting on the floor. You can even bring the back of your hand to your lower back to notice, is it long here? Do I have an open feeling? Nice expansion. I can inhale and lift that tailbone a little bit. And exhale, really soften through your twist, softening especially the side body around your ribs. One more breath here. And coming out on an inhale, or engaging. Exhale, back to hands and knees. Great. So oftentimes we actually have a lot of mobility in the lower back. A lot of flexibility, and people have this exaggerated curve. And what we want is a little bit more stability as well to support that range of motion. So we're going to do a little bit more core work here on hands and knees. This one is called the balancing cat. So we're going to extend the left leg back. Inhale, engage your core, and lift the opposite arm, your right arm up. Exhale, back to hands and knees. We'll do these dynamically. Slide the leg back. Engage the core as you inhale, lifting arm and opposite leg. Exhale, back down. Great. I'm going to do about 7 or 8 of these. See if you can really synchronize the movement and your breath. I'm trying to take very long, smooth breaths here. The tendency when we feel challenged is to often rush. We'll rush the breath. But that faster breath is often more shallow, and we actually are practicing a less efficient and a less relaxed form of breathing. So again, remember your core. Pull the belly in and up to the body as you extend through the bottom of the foot, the tips of your fingers. See if you can hold that support as you lower down as slow as you can, or at least as slow as your breath. Oftentimes these slow movements are actually more challenging than the quick ones. So if you can enjoy that challenge, maybe even spending a little bit more time with it, relaxing the muscles of your face, around your eyebrows, your jaw, keeping the shoulders in your upper back support, so they never squeeze your neck. Neck feels long on all sides. Let's do one more on each side. Extending the leg, engage the core, and lifting. Don't have to go very high here. You want to feel both of your hips on one plane, on one level. Nice. And come back to a neutral spine on hands and knees. Hands right underneath your shoulders, knees right underneath your hips. Good stuff. So we're going to do a leg sequence now to really work through the front side of the legs first, and then the outer side. Then we're going to get to the inside and last the back side of the legs. And all of this leg work is going to help us have open and stable hips. And that is really one of the keys to a happy back. Let's start with the classic lunge here, extending that first leg you lifted and bring it between your hands. And so we're lengthening the muscle of the back leg on its front side. These are those hip flexors again. Start just by grounding. So your fingers can easily touch the floor. That front knee is right over the ankle of the front foot. And find your position, find your balance. And notice the length in your back. So in all of these poses, we're going to use a little bit of core support. Hold the belly in to enjoy a little more support and more natural extension through the low back. Once you feel that, we can come up into you could stay right where you are or come up into the classic version of this low lunge. In this low lunge, we are energetically pulling that back leg forward. You can keep the arms on your hips or resting behind the knee. Option to bring them parallel here. I like to do this parallel arms first. It helps me remember to relax the shoulders down. And maybe option to bring your arms up. Biceps on either side of your ears. You could even shrug your shoulders for contrast. And then relax them back down into the back. So we're dragging that back leg forward and that front leg, pulling it a little bit back. You'll feel that in the outer hip of the front leg a bit more. And deepen your breath. On an exhale, hands by that front foot, and then just lift the back knee. And look at my back foot. We're going to do a little bit of pumping action for that back leg. So on an inhale, I'm reaching the sole of the foot up into the body. And then exhale, pushing back through the heel, through the bottom of the foot. So on an inhale, I'm trying to squeeze both legs closer to the center of the body, towards the hips, towards the spine. And then exhale, I'm stretching that back leg a little bit. Inhale. And exhale, and then we're going to switch. So you could just come into a plank pose, a little bit more core bracing, or come down onto the knees, come back in, same way as the other side. But this side might feel different already. It might be different in your knee. You might want to bend the mat for a little more cushion. Give your body a moment to just feel the pose. Adjusting to disorientation and gravity. Front knee, always oriented right over that front ankle in the center of the foot. And we could just stay here. This side might feel better with a little more support. Hands on the floor. Or bring the hands behind the knee, even on the hips. Option to add the arms in that crescent low lunge. What I'm looking for, again, is a feeling of length through this front side of the back leg. I do this by engaging the core. So that pubic bone pulls up, that lowest rib pulling into the body, and your breath guiding and really giving the pose. See if you can lengthen the breath a little bit here. Softening the muscles of your cheeks, all around your eyes. Relax the whole head and neck, and on an exhale, hands by the front foot, and lift the back knee. So, pulling into your core here, we'll inhale and energize that back leg forward towards your center. And exhale, stretch it back. Sometimes have to change the grip of your feet. Inhale, the bottom of the foot pulling up and into the body. Exhale, stretch that back leg a little bit. One more time for good luck. And exhale, nice easy stretch. And this time we're going to step forward. So inhale, bring the back leg forward. And then exhale, fold forward over your legs, standing forward bend. In this forward bend, you want your hands to be able to touch the floor easily. So if you can't do it easily yet, bend your knees some more until your hands can easily touch the floor. Your knees here also want to stay in alignment with your feet. So notice that second toe, kind of drawing a line through the middle of your foot and right through the center of the ankle and the knees. On an inhale, come up halfway, lengthening your back, pulling the core in. You might need your hands on your shins here if you can't touch the floor. And then exhale, fold. A little bit easier into that forward bend. Good stuff. It's one of the best and also simplest poses we can do, especially for our lower back. Uttanasana, the standing forward bend. Lengthen one more time. Navel in as you reach your tail back, keeping the shoulders in the back and your heart reaching forward. Exhale, fold forward. Forward bend. Great, we're going to step that first leg back again, just like that low lunge, but now, and actually you could stay into the low lunge. If that felt like a lot in the hip flexors, you could stay on the floor, or come up into a high crescent lunge with a couple of different arm options. So hands could stay on the hips for balance or out wide. And I like to bring my arms parallel to the ground. Helps me relax the shoulders before I think about lifting them up. The other thing you want to think about is the back side now of that back leg. So your hamstrings want to engage as much as you can. If you feel them, they should feel very strong. That's going to encourage, that'll help the body feel safer, releasing the tissues of the front side of the leg. Engage the core again, so a little bit more bracing, pulling the belly in, keeping the ribs moving into the body, and the back of the neck nice and long. On an exhale, hands by the front foot, and we'll switch. You could also even hop a little switch. Grounding on the second side first might be a little bit different. And option to come up with hands helping on the hips or the legs for balance. Or out wide. Shoulders relaxed. The back leg, back side now, very active. Taking that classic full crescent lunge here. There's a tendency for that tailbone to curl. Excessive bend here in the lower back. Let's bring that tailbone down as you lift that pubic bone up. Long, smooth, full breaths. And then exhale. Bringing hands by the foot and coming into plank. In plank, we're going to have both feet active, both legs working, reaching back. As you keep the shoulders again in your upper back. Feel the length on all sides of the neck. Feel free to lower down onto your knees. Either way, you want to feel that natural extension, a very long spine, a line of energy moving through your center. And then lower on an exhale, bending the elbows by your side, coming all the way down. Good stuff. We're just going to rest either the forehead on the floor or the chin. You can also put the forehead on your hands. Good. And then bring one side of your head to the floor. We're going to bring that same side leg up close to your knees, or knee close to your elbow. And then bring it back and switch sides. This is a really nice way to soften through the front body. We just did a lot of work. Coming back to center and then planting your hands under your shoulders, elbows by your side. Come up for a gentle cobra. And exhale, come back down. And make sure your feet are connecting to the ground, your toes reaching away from your head as you inhale. Use the core. Exhale, come back down. One more time. Inhale, feet reaching down as your belly pulls in and up. We'll stay here for just 3 breaths. Coming up perhaps a little bit more on that last inhale. And exhale, release. Great. We're going to come all the way back up. Start in down dog and then walk your hands and feet together. Come into forward bend again and then into standing. So now we've done a lot for the front of the legs and we're going to move to the outside of the hips and legs. For this, I like to have some kind of standing support, something about as high as almost my hips. You could use the chair again. Or a wall, if that's what you have at home. We're going to do a really powerful stretch for the outer hip rotators here. So you come onto your standing leg and flex the foot of the lifted leg. You're putting that foot just above the knee, not right on it. And because we're stretching the outside of the hips, we need to work with the inside, the groin area. So we're going to engage the groin, engage your sitting bones like they're moving back and towards the floor. And this might be as far as you go here. Keep your standing leg, the standing knee gently bent. Spread through the toes of both feet and breathe deep. Now, those of you who are very flexible, you might be able to fold from your hips with a long spine and come a little lower, maybe parallel to the floor. You might be able to bend your knee a little more, keep the back long, and lower your hands all the way to the floor. But I'm going to stay right here today. Again, keeping your lifted foot, keeping the ankle engaged, will keep that alignment with your knee. And the work is coming through your inner hip, the inner groins, moving back and down. And you might be feeling it a lot in the outer hip of the lifted leg. Of course, our standing leg also getting a nice bit of work. Now come out mindfully, brace your core again. So pull the belly in, lift on up, and exhale, and stand tall. Just take a moment to feel that. You might also want to shake out the legs, usually standing leg a lot, and get ready for the other side. So spreading the toes of your base, then spread the toes of your lifted leg as you bend the knee and place the foot just above your standing knee. Engage the core so you can lengthen the spine, and then on an exhale, you bend from your hips, coming forward any amount by drawing your inner groins back and down, or opening a little bit behind you. And this side is much tighter for me than it is on the other, and that's okay if it's very different for you. It's actually most important is you are able to notice that. And then by spending the time being in your body, being connected with yourself, you're actually helping your body do that which it always does best. It's looking out for you. You're empowering yourself to connect with your healing response, connect with its tissues and even the bones. And you help your body achieve an easier sense of harmony by staying with it, never forcing, never pushing beyond your edge. Let's take one more breath here. Get ready to engage the core. Belly in as you lift the spine and come up. Awesome. Good work. We're going to come down to the floor now. And the rest of our work here on the floor. We're going to start with the same thing we just did, but now on the floor. So for this stretch, you could start with your legs long. Sometimes nice to pull the seat open and back a little bit. We're going to bend the lifted leg first and flex the ankle, flex the foot rather, to keep the ankle engaged. And you start to walk the extended foot closer to your body. Now, you might not get very far. You want to keep your back as long as possible, especially the lower back should be moving up and into the body. So the sacrum pulling up and in. As you engage your core again, see if you can deepen your breath. If you have the room, you can bring that extended leg closer to your seat. But do not round your back. Do not sacrifice any feeling of extension or integrity just because that's what it seems like it should look like, or because your ego is telling you to do more. If you can really just turn your awareness inwards to what you're feeling, especially in that outer hip of your lifted leg, as we take one more breath, and then release. Awesome. Second side. Bending the knee, spreading your fingers, use the arms for support. And again, keeping that ankle engaged with the flexed foot will keep that knee in alignment with that center line of the leg. Bringing the belly in as you lift the bone of the lower spine. So the sacrum is actually a couple of fused vertebrae. See if you can even use the back of your hand again to make sure that nothing is rounding or bulging out. From that lift and that length, you can lift your heart. And see if you can, again, deepen your breath. Nice. On an exhale, soften and release. Great stuff. Okay. So with the outer hips done, our next one is the inner groin. This is going to get a nice release in frog pose. And this one, you might want a blanket for your knees. You can also fold your mat again. As we're going to come to the inside of the knees. We're going to use our legs to bring our seat, bringing really the inner groins back. It looks kind of funny, of course. Spread your toes here and lengthen the whole back. Keep your forearms on the ground. You're going to use now the action here is coming, feels like the inner legs, the groin, is either pulling back to lengthen the lower back, or sometimes it feels more like our pushing back, whatever makes more sense for you. Either way, just make sure your lower back feels nice and extended. And you can breathe real deep. And then to get the release here in the inner groin, we've got to squeeze. So we're going to squeeze the floor. You're going to squeeze the whole earth. It's like you were squeezing a big ball between your legs. And then release. You might do some of that pulsing again, forward and back. We're going to give it one more squeeze. Nice. Okay, help yourself out. Again, the same way you came in. Gradually, mindfully. And come back down to the floor. Our last active work here is going to be for the back side of the legs and the hips. We're going to start really small with some baby back bends. Start with, again, either the forehead or the chin on the floor, whichever feels better for your neck, and you might need a little more height with your hands. You could also keep your arms by your side, coming into a variation of the locust pose. We'll start with just the right leg. Inhale, lift the right leg up maybe 5 centimeters. Doesn't have to be very much. But spread your toes And then reach those toes back to the side of the room behind you, and then let the leg down. So the inner leg is now rotating in and up a bit. That's what we want. We'll do the same thing on the other side, just a little lift so you can spread, and then stretch the toes back away from the head, and then reach them down. So we want both legs to be long, and the upper legs here rotating in. And we're going to feel a nice extension through the lower back, and then we're going to activate it with a couple little leg lifts. So start on just one side with a couple repetitions. Inhale, lifting the toes up, spreading the toes, and lengthening the leg back as you set it down. Engage your core again. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale. Spread the toes, reach it back, and slowly exhale. 1 more time. And when you're ready, changing sides. Inhale. Spread the toes, reach it back, and slowly exhale, holding on to that core support. Nice. 1 more time. If that already felt like a lot, you were definitely at your edge. You might just repeat that 1 or 2 more times on each side, or try both legs together. But again, the action of your upper legs and even the ankles here is going to be squeezing towards the center. You could even put a block between your legs, especially a light block at the heels, at the ankles. And then inhale with the action of the legs squeezing together, lift them up a little bit, spread the toes, and then release. 1 more time. Core support, breath is long, lifting, spreading, and then release. Nice. Okay, good work. Wherever you are, come make your way down onto your back. With your knees bent, feet on the floor, feel that extension, especially in the lower back. Bending your knees and legs into the body. Hug with an exhale, belly in. 1 more time with an inhale, we're going to squeeze the forehead, squeeze the core, lifting, and exhale, releasing. And just take your knees in your hands here, do a couple of rotations in either direction, probably in both directions, comparison. Wonderful. Then come back to settle in a comfortable resting pose. And you can take the exact same one that you did at the beginning. So if you have a chair available or low table or something, you could try that. Could also just bring your legs out wide as your mat. And again, let the knees come together, supporting each other. As you soften your lower back, release any tension you might have accumulated. Give it back down into the earth. Especially if your lower back's feeling very good, no problem there. You might also try a bolster or a pillow. Sometimes in my bed, I like to use it, just a regular pillow there underneath the knees. And taking a classic resting pose with your legs extended, let your feet, let your toes be heavy, falling open, gentle outward rotation through the legs and the hips. Keep your arms by your side. so that your shoulders, the shoulder blades, are resting behind the back, helping lift the heart of it. You might even inhale and bring the upper body up to encourage the shoulder blades towards the center, and then exhale, setting your whole upper body, resting on that support. And with every exhale, letting the weight of your whole body drop into the earth. Feel the weight, feel the sensation in your toes and your feet. And with your exhale, let the weight of the feet settle and drop. Feel your lower legs, your knees. Breathing, easing. And as you exhale, let the weight in the lower legs and knees drop a little more. Observe what you can observe in your upper legs. Feel in your pelvis and your hips. And with your next exhalation, let the upper legs, the pelvis, and the hips drop and settle. Observe the length of your spine and feel your whole torso, the whole back body resting on the ground. And with every exhalation, allow the weight of your torso and spine to settle and drop. Noticing your shoulders. See if you can relax the front of your shoulders, the top of your shoulders. Soften the back side of your shoulders, your shoulder blades. And let that soft, relaxed feeling wash over your arms. As you let the upper arms, the elbows, your lower arms and wrists become heavy. Relax. Let the weight of the shoulders and arms drop. Softening your palms and the inside of all of your fingers. Relax the back of your hands, and the space around the nails of all 10 fingers. Observe your neck. Front of the neck, long, sides of both sides of your neck, soft. Make sure the back of the neck feels easy, extended, and relaxed. As you let the weight of your head and your neck settle and drop. Observing the scalp, the skin around the entire head. Relax your temples, crown of the head, and soften all of the muscles of your face. Soften your forehead and your eyebrows. Softening the space in between your eyebrows and all around your eyes. Soften your cheeks. Relax your mouth. As if you were letting all expression, all gesture, and all emotion release. Soften your jaw, all around the chin, and up to the ears. Let the lips rest on one another. You relax your tongue. And see if you can soften the inside of your mouth. Once you've observed the whole body and let go whatever you don't need, bring your full attention back to your breathing and observe natural breath. In the next few moments, simply rest your attention in the rise and fall of beautiful breath. Feel free to stay here as long as you need. And when you feel ready, start to deepen your breathing. Take your time. Enjoy the sensation, the increased motion and opening of the breath. As you deepen your breath and come to a full and comfortable inhale, you can hold the breath for a moment with full lungs. And then on an exhale, breathing out the mouth, enjoying total release. Starting to wake up your physical body with small movements in the fingers and the toes. Let those small movements just spontaneously get bigger as you're ready. You might even want to stretch the whole body again with your arms overhead on the floor, reaching from your fingers through your toes. And exhaling, release, rolling the head from side to side can be nice. And then bending one leg at a time. And just squeezing yourself. One more big hug. Before rolling over to your side. And using your hands to come up into a comfortable seat. Just taking a moment here to notice how you feel at the end of your practice. Bringing your hands in front of your heart to offer the benefits that you might have enjoyed to yourself, to all those around you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste.